Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our virtual town hall here in Scarborough, Guildwood. And I am Mitzi Hunter, MPP for Scarborough, Guildwood, and I am joined by my federal colleague, John McKay. John, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. I don't know how many of these have we actually done, Mitzi. It's starting to be kind of a popular program. So I think we're going to have to syndicate ourselves. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think we've actually done around 14, or maybe this is the 15th show.
Really?
Maybe Councillor Ainsley can tell us. Do you want to say hi to the folks, Councillor Ainsley?
Hey, everybody. Great to be here. I'm Paul Ainsley, I'm the city councillor here in Scarborough, Guildwood. And I think, we're at about 14 or 15. It's on YouTube. You can watch it anytime after on YouTube. Tell your friends and family, and we hope it's informative for everybody.
We really have a dynamite panel tonight, so I think we're going to blow through all our usual stats.
We are. Yeah. We have a fantastic panel and topic. I would say this is a pretty hot topic for the people of Scarborough, Guildwood in particular. How do we improve transit? And here tonight we have many representatives from Metrolinx to tell us just how we're going to be doing that. So I'd like to introduce our guest tonight. Leona Hollingsworth is the Director of Community Engagement for East 905. Hello, Leona.
Hello, thank you for having me here tonight.
Wonderful to have you. We have Kristen Damasi, and she is the Senior Advisor, Rapid Transit Planning. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. And we have Anne-Marie Chung, and Anne-Marie is the Rapid Transit Sponsor.
Hi there.
Hi there. And Mark Chivaro, who is the Vice President of Scarborough Subway Extension.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Nice to have you, Mark. And we have Carla Avis Birch, the Chief Planning Officer at Metrolinx.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for sharing some time with us.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you and your team for being here. And we also have Jenny Matharu, who is the sponsor for the Scarborough Subway Extension.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us.
Brilliant. So we have a lot to get through tonight. I'm going to turn it over to our guests at Metrolinx, who are going to just take us through a slide presentation to give us a quick overview. Not sure who's going to lead that. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think I think that there was perhaps some signals crossed on this one. There isn't a slide deck, but more than happy to provide one at the next town hall.
Okay. Well, you know what? We have more questions than we have time in the hour. So Perfect. Why don't we just dive right into all of our questions? I'll start with the questions, if I may. So Peter is asking, why is the median for the, I guess this is for the Durham Scarborough Bus Rapid Transit, why is that center median feature so important? Why can't the Ellesmere stretch of the busway be curbside lane? And Anne-Marie, I'm going to kick this over to you, but maybe if you can just tell our listeners what this regional transit project is all about in terms of the Durham Scarborough Bus Rapid Transit, because some people may not have heard about it, and this is their first time. So, and then you can address that very specific question from Peter about that center median.
Yeah, no problem. So the Durham Scarborough BRT stretches from Scarborough all the way to Durham region. It is a bus rapid transit project. So right now we are looking to provide buses along that segment where we are looking to improve travel times, We are looking to provide stations and stops along the segments along the various municipalities to really improve connectivity based on population demand and employment growth that we see in the entire region itself. So one thing I would like to say is, of course, with that is improved service. We are looking during the peak to increase service up to or less than 5 minutes. And really we're looking at to improve the travel times for the residents and transit users to the area. So in terms of the question, why is the median so important? I think it really boils down to safety, really ensuring that all road users, and preventing unrestricted left turn access lanes. So the median runs along the center of the road, and our buses will have a dedicated use along that stretch. And really and truly, whilst we look at that, we looked at various options for where we were going to place our buses. So, yes, there's the center median, but another option that we looked at is, the curb lane. So running the buses along the curb itself. And one thing that's really important to us is quality of service for our transit users itself. And then a really important feature is the reliability. So, when a bus runs, how punctual or on time is the service and the quality itself. So compared to curb lanes, you're running the buses along the curbs, there's a lot more friction when vehicles are turning right into and out of driveways. There's a lot of queuing at intersections to turn right. So by placing the buses on dedicated median lanes, really removes that friction and really gets the buses right up to the crosswalk at the traffic lights themselves. And that really speaks to that reliability. Of course, with mixed traffic, we don't really know what we're going to get and the conditions of the road at that time. The other thing, of course, we want to consider as well with the use of the median lanes are the drivers and how they'll use the road itself. As I mentioned earlier, around the safety reasons, the left turn across the lanes cannot be permitted for safety reasons. We really found that the medians really provide a physical constraint, so motorists don't inadvertently turn left, and really, there's reason to cause for collisions themselves. One thing I did find, and in York region, there's proof that there are about 51 to about 74% fewer collisions along the rapid way just by eliminating those left turns across the traffic. So for us, it really boils down to safety.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. I believe it is important to put safety at the center of the work that we're doing for the community, and also the timeliness that really resonated with me. I have special memories of taking the Ellesmere bus from home to the U of T when I was studying there at UTSC, and the timeliness of that bus was really super important. So seeing that that there is this investment, and this is a regional transit project connecting all the way from Oshawa through the municipalities of Durham into Toronto, coming through Scarborough, along Ellesmere, and linking up to the future of the Scarborough subway is, it's something that we don't have today. So it's hard to imagine that. And I would assume that you're at the early stages of this design of this project, so you want to actually hear from the community how the proposed changes will affect them. So I really appreciate that about the Metrolinx team. And maybe before I go on to the next question, you can tell people how they could provide direct input to you other than the questions they've submitted to us tonight.
Leona, do you want to take that one?
Absolutely. Actually, it's really good timing to ask this question right now. Our Public Information Center is open on Metrolinx Engage, and we'll be taking comments and suggestions about the project through that platform. So you can go to metrolinxengage.com and take a look through all of the material, all of the background on the project. Really talks about exactly what you said, the connection across the regions and what this proposed project plan is about. And then there's opportunity there to share thoughts, feelings, concerns, ask questions as well to the project team. And you can always reach us through the dsbrt@metrolinx.com email address as well.
Thanks, Leona. And I'm sure that our amazing team that's put this together in terms of our various office staff, that will put those links in the chat so people can connect to that as well. So I do have just another question about this project. There's been a lot of interest in the project, and it's from Ahmed, who asks, I heard that the traffic flow research was done in 2020, which means that this was done during the pandemic. Will Metrolinx do more studies of traffic before proceeding? So will we have sort of a realistic assessment of the traffic so that the decisions that we're making will reflect what the normal flow would look like? And I'm going to kick this over to Kristen to provide the answer.
Sure. So we will have a realistic idea of traffic flow. The traffic report was completed in 2020, but the traffic data that we use is from 2016 to 2019. So there are sort of a few different pieces of data that go into the report. The first one is the Transportation Tomorrow survey, which is a major source of data, and that's a survey done across the city, and it's conducted every 5 years. So the last available set of data we have is from 2016. So that was used. We also do local traffic counts. We've done those as part of the study. The City of Toronto, and all the municipalities do their own traffic counts. So they're done approximately every 3 years. So we have the information from 2016 to 2019 that we collected and used for the analysis. And we've also used a combination of ridership, both from Durham Region Transit and from the TTC, that was sort of based from 2016 to 2019 as well. So this is sort of a typical approach for traffic studies for projects like these. So this data is used to inform a model so that we can predict future traffic and transit ridership, and that's based on population and employment growth within Scarborough and within Durham Region. And so that's how we produce the traffic report and sort of identify where people are going and what the needs are in the future. So we don't believe that we need to do any additional studies before proceeding with the TPAP, which is the environmental assessment phase, which is the phase we're in now. However, during detailed design and in future phases, if things change or we realize that we need to go back and do a little bit more work, we certainly do it at that phase, at that stage.
And Kristen, so you're saying that we're in environmental assessment phase and there's more other phases like detailed design. How many more phases are there to this project?
So yes, we're currently in the preliminary design, and the environmental assessment. So we're doing a 30% design. So we're identifying a footprint for the corridor. So we look at the existing environmental conditions and sort of the impacts of what the project would have on all things, whether it's heritage, traffic, archaeology, and so that informs a 30% design, and then we move into sort of the more detailed design. So we identify, that sort of becomes a 60-70% design. So we drill down into more details. We might find more impacts that we haven't identified as part of this phase of work. So that's also a long process, and we're very much still consulting as part of that phase before we sort of move into procurement for the project and construction. So we're still 2 phases away from actually shovels in the ground.
Okay. So lots of listening happening along the way. So I'm going to toss it over to Paul Ainsley for his questions.
Thanks, Mitzi. I have a question from one of my residents about another Metrolinx project, which is the expanded GO train service on the Lakeshore East line. And they are trying to understand the grade separations for Scarborough Golf Club Road, Galloway Road, and Morningside Avenue. What is the status, and when will the community be updated? And in particular, for including Poplar Road, which isn't so much supposed to be a grade separation as I understand. Metrolinx wants to close it down and put a pedestrian underpass, was the last we heard. I'm not sure who wants to have
I
a
think
shot
this
at
is
that.
Carla will jump in there.
Thank you, Councillor Ainsley, and thank you, Mitzi, for that toss over on the question. We are currently right now working through the design and confidential procurement stage of these road crossings and these road rail crossings, and we are really committed to additional safety measures on all of these sections as we can. So grade separations has been discussed up to now, and they are very disruptive. We recognize that. But we are also looking to mitigate those disruptions, talking to the community and working through the design teams and with those groups and how the projects will develop. We're also very proud that there are other tools in our toolbox around how we look at where our rail traffic comes in contact with, the community traffic or roadway traffic, as you were mentioning, Councillor Ainsley, in regards to Poplar Road, right? And so we take a risk-based approach. We do an examination, of course, and we continue to do that to be able to feed into some of the solutions that are being brought forward to us. In terms of how we're going to follow up and when we're following up next, as I mentioned, we're in those confidential kind of procurement stages right now, but we definitely will be connecting on a regular basis as we have been, and we'll continue to do that. Regular channels, as Leona had mentioned before, venues like this one, and as we get a little bit further down with the project and we're progressing, we'll be able to bring more information and update as that more information is available.
Okay, so no timelines at this point.
No timelines right now at this point, no, but we will come back and share that as soon as they're available.
Okay, and do you have any idea? Because originally, one of the very first town halls that Metrolinx did, the grade separations were planned for, I think they would have been in by 2020, 2021.
So I think we're in and around that same time frame right now. Of course, when we're in a procurement, we're going out to the market and we're working with a consultative process that goes back and forth to be able to kind of, come back into the solution. So I think we're around that time frame right now, but we do have to just kind of go through the process, and I couldn't say exactly, but I feel that as you just described there, we're in that time frame.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I mean, one of the original town halls that was done, construction was supposed to be well underway by now, and I think yeah.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have to kind of go through that process to be able to kind of get our contractor on board. And when we get the contractor on board, as we work through this development process, this development phase, we get a better idea from them in terms of the timelines of construction. We really want to rely on them. They know best in terms of material. We all know we're having issues with the supply chain and getting material. We want to be able to kind of finish off the design so that they could actually get shovels in the ground. And so that's the process that we're working right now through that procurement stage that is confidential right now, but we will come back as that develops and as we have more information as to kind of when we agree on a schedule to kind of start that construction work.
Okay, so how far off the original targets is Metrolinx?
I don't actually have that right now. I'll have to come back with you to that, Councillor, with the details on where we are right now with the schedule.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mitzi, do you want to pass it on to John?
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Mitzi. As you will know, that I've just come off an election, and I have to admit that I got a bit of an earful, particularly about the proposal along Ellesmere, and fair number of pretty upset people, and you'll probably be aware that there's signs on people's lawns, et cetera, stop the project, all that sort of stuff. So I'm assuming that you're all aware of that and recognize that you have a bit of persuading to do with particularly the people that are most affected by the project. And to wit, the particular question from not quite sure, Sunny, who lives in the Woburn area and found out that the Metrolinx busway wants to expand all the way to Bellamy Progress. These roads are already congested, Markham and Ellesmere being the worst. Even during COVID lockdowns, is a very busy intersection. That's very, very true. Plus, new condos coming on in the area are not going to make anything better. Are there not any other options that have a less impact on the community? And that was directed to Kristen.
Yep. So I just want to address your first part of the question. So yes, we absolutely are engaged in the community, and we are listening to the concerns and questions that people have, and we are doing our best to answer them and to refine the design to make it a project that works for everybody. Specifically,
sorry, Kristen, can you give a specific example of the difference between what your design is now and what your design was previously based upon community input?
So along the entire corridor, we have made changes to several locations. One of the biggest changes in Scarborough is actually through the Highland Creek area, where we at the beginning of the project back in 2019, early 2020, we were going out to the community with a widened portion of the corridor, to fit in the bus lanes and maintain the existing number of traffic lanes. Since we heard from the community, we heard from the City of Toronto that they would prefer us that was too big of a footprint and too big of an impact. And so we went back to the drawing board and proposed a design that reduces the traffic lanes but puts in the bus lanes and allows for wider sidewalks and cycle lanes and boulevard space to create a more sort of improved public realm and streetscape area. We've made changes to the design in Whitby through Ajax and also in other parts of Toronto. We're sort of reduced the footprint over time, particularly with discussions with the city around what the platform width would be, kind of what the size is, and how we best design the project to sort of minimize impacts to properties, to trees, and to other sort of important features within the community.
The ironic effect of that of going from, if you will, 4 lanes of traffic to 2 lanes of traffic is that you in effect create a perpetual traffic jam along the remaining lanes. And I'm perfectly prepared to say that that's maybe what the community wants, but is that the best traffic flow solution?
So through our analysis, and it's a good segue to the actual question, when we sort of redid the modeling and looked at how traffic was sort of, traffic's like water, so it would you make a change and traffic will fit around that change. And what we found is there wasn't really a significant impact along Ellesmere Road and also on the surrounding network. That's largely because we are maintaining the number of lanes in majority of the corridor that there is today, and that's based on the traffic numbers that we see in the model for 2041. That's kind of the planning horizon that we're looking at. We're not looking at next year or 2 years time. So we have looked at the traffic impacts at the intersections on Bellamy, Progress, and Markham, and we're not seeing huge sort of significant impacts to those in terms of congestion. Congestion will increase just along the corridor in general, no matter what we do, whether we put in the BRT or not, because the amount of growth that's occurring will result in more traffic. So this is really about reallocating some space where we can and improving the transit network to give people more choice and allow more people to choose transit for more of their trips. And so what what we're doing to sort of mitigate there are impacts, to certain areas, and what we're doing is we're looking at options for including sort of additional right turning lanes, additional traffic signals, and maybe like left turns where we can, to sort of help further reduce some of those impacts and to sort of address some of these concerns from the community.
If traffic is like water, and that's a good analogy, isn't the traffic actually going to seek secondary roads, and the secondary roads will see increases? And if so, does your study reflect that, or your study say something else?
So we're not seeing a significant sort of redistribution of the traffic on the local streets. I think some of that traffic is of course transferred over to the BRT, and some of it.
That's the trouble. You hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the intent, and then it just sort of redistributes around the network. So it's not all going to be focused on those local streets.
I have one other question, but I think in some respects you've already indirectly answered it.
That's what I noticed too.
A lady concerned about the buses running on the curbs, and you've already moved the curbs the buses into the center lane. So in some respects, I think Eliza's answer has been, or a question has been answered. So let me pitch it back to you, Mitzi.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Kristen, for fielding all of those questions. I want to just bring in the other project that people in Scarborough, Guildwood have waited for a long time for and super excited about. I had a chance to do a walk around with Straw Bag to see the digging happening. And I guess it's not quite digging yet, but it's whatever, the shaft is going down, a long way. So it was really, really cool. And I do want to give a shout out to Metrolinx, because they have a school-based program. And if any of our school principals and teachers want to do a similar tour, Metrolinx is open to doing that, and they've accommodated even a viewing platform that is for all of our children to be able to see into the construction site. So really, really great project for some STEM learning, and really seeing how Scarborough is going to be improved with this new subway extension. So the question that I have is from Hassan, and he wants to know about these projects. So in what ways does the subway project help the local economy? And if you can really, point people in the direction of how does this improve us locally? He feels that, it may benefit other people who do not live anywhere near Scarborough, while those who do live in Scarborough along the subway line just see the impacts. So can you talk about how this benefits the local economy, and maybe, some of the projections that you have for the Scarborough subway extension? And I'm going to kick that over to Jenny.
Awesome. So as you mentioned, it's happening. We are digging. And so this extension is going to attract, once it's built, it is going to attract economic development, and it's going to improve access to jobs, education, and healthcare for the local economy. We've done some studies, and we're forecasting that the extension is going to be a closer walk to approximately 34,000. There's going to be about 34,000 new jobs created around the subway stations once it's ultimately built out. There's going to be additional sort of residential options for residents. We anticipate it's going to spur development in the area. There's also going to be improved sort of connections at Scarborough Centre Station. It's going to improve travel times for Scarborough residents that are commuting in the Scarborough area to Centennial College, so the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. So that's going to be definitely an improvement for the local residents. And also just the travel time and the commute savings back into sort of the downtown core. The other thing that the project's going to do is during construction, it's anticipated to create the equivalent of about 3,000 full-time jobs per year. And as a whole, while there are going to be improvements to the local economy, it is going to contribute to an overall integrated transportation network that's going to benefit not just the users in the local area, but the surrounding communities as well. And so we're anticipating the spillover benefits as well for everybody in the area.
That's great. And once again, if people want to find out about, how to find jobs, whether it's with your suppliers or with Metrolinx, where do they go to find that information?
So we do have Metrolinx Engage up and running. Questions can be submitted there. There's also a 24-hour sort of number that's available. There are more things that we are doing with the local economy as it relates to jobs, and I think Mark's going to touch on that maybe a little bit later. And so there's a lot more to sort of come in this space.
Okay, Mark, we don't want to steal your thunder there. I just want to ask about the effects of either of these projects on residents who are on low income. And, people have weathered a lot during COVID-19 in Scarborough, particularly many of our low income residents. And this is a big project. It's going to be disruptive. There is going to be, maybe avoidance of the local area, in some of the shops and those types of things. Can you talk about what programs are there to mitigate that disruption on our local residents, and also on maybe the small businesses in either of these two corridors that we're talking about? So either along Ellesmere or along the subway route as well. And I'm going to start off, is that Mark? You're going to jump in, and if anyone else wants to jump in as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I know there is a lot of concern about how these major projects affect businesses and how they can affect residents who have been affected by the pandemic. I know, right down to a specific case where we did purchase some buildings at Midland and Eglinton, and we need those for construction. And the units had residential units above, and we took special care in terms of how we were working with the tenants. We worked very carefully to relocate the tenants and provided assistance in finding new housing and supports for them to get settled into their new residences. So it's not something that we do lightly when we have to acquire businesses or property for construction. It's actually one of the most sensitive parts of the work, and it's one that we have experience in, and we have a number of different supports to work with people who are affected directly by the construction of the project. On the business side, we've taken on the Scarborough subway extension. We've taken an approach to trying to limit the impacts of construction as much as possible. So where you were, MPP Hunter, and I missed you the other day up at the launch shaft site at Shepherd and McCowan. I'll catch you there next time. But we moved that construction site out of the roadway into the northeast corner, and the idea is to just keep it away from traffic. Allow the cars and the buses and pedestrians to keep flowing and moving past that site, and not disrupt, as much as we can, not disrupt that area while we build this massive shaft to put the tunneling machine in. So we've tried to undertake that approach at each of the station areas. Where we can, we'll move the construction to the side, we'll move the roadway, and make sure that we're not impacting the traffic or buses or pedestrians unduly, so that all of the shops and stores and whatnot can continue to be served well. So that's just how we've sort of tried to plan the job. And then we also have a number of customized supports for businesses. Obviously making sure that storefronts are easy and clear to access and to see. We have a shop local program that we're working on with Strawbag, the tunnel contractor, to help promote the local businesses. And we're already working with the Shepherd East BIA, and we meet with them on a kind of a monthly basis to talk about any issues that may be arising from the construction work. And that's just up in the Shepherd and McCowan area. We're looking to also strike community liaison committees in other areas along the route and get that same kind of feedback. I think we've already talked about it a little bit already, but we do have the 24-hour number and easy ways to access us, to contact if there are any issues or concerns. So that's really in a nutshell how we're trying to manage the impacts of construction. We know it's messy, but we're learning and we're trying our best to minimize our footprint in the community while we do our work.
It's really good to hear that you took the construction out of the center of the street and put it in the northeast corner, which I did witness. So well done to you and your team for thinking that through. Councillor Ainsley, over to you.
Thanks, Mitzi. I also have a construction-related question, and this is from one of my residents. This is in reference to the Durham Scarborough Rapid Transit Project and the Scarborough Subway Extension. Was there consideration put in place regards to the timeline of the construction of the two projects to not negatively impact local businesses and the residents' commute?
I'll take that one, Councillor Ainsley. So in short, yes, there is coordination between the two projects. I think for Metrolinx, it's important for us that we ensure both projects minimize the impacts to the local communities as much as possible. I do note that for, Durham Scarborough, BRT, and very much we're in the EA and planning stage, while Scarborough Subway Extension, the construction of the tunnel is happening, and they're in their advanced design stage for the station's rail and systems contract. So, though we're in different parts or phases of the projects, we're definitely coordinating and interfacing to make sure that we minimize any construction.
Perfect. And then the next question I had, one of my residents, Ron, wants to know, I know that the RFP was issued this September for the Scarborough Subway Extension, with construction work to begin soon. And this is, I guess, going along with the conversation we had earlier. Are there any plans to hire local labor and create opportunities for people in Scarborough? And then as a city councilor, I would kind of tag on, if the Metrolinx is hiring locally, do you have a number that you're looking at if you are hiring locally, and how do you track that?
So I'll take that one, Councillor, and thank you for the question. I think we've talked a little bit that construction is already underway on the tunnel contract. We do have a second contract, and Marie briefly mentioned it. It was for the station's rails and systems component. So the next phase, and that was the RFQ, request for qualifications, that went out in September. So for the tunnel contract, our contractor has confirmed that the majority of their workforce is hired from the Toronto area. They've also purchased the tunnel liners, so that those are these huge concrete liners that really form the tunnel from a manufacturer in Whitby, again creating local jobs there. I know we're talking about Scarborough, but this is kind of the trickle down impacts from the project. So we've also required for the contractor that they develop an apprenticeship training and workforce plan, which in effect makes them partner up with local unions to provide the necessary training for folks looking to work on the project. So a number of trades, I think, are noted to be in scarce supply. And so Strawbag will be working and looking to train those apprentices on the job in collaboration with the Ministry of Training Colleges and University and the local unions. And so those trades, I'll just name them off: electricians, welders, crane operators, heavy equipment operators, heavy duty mechanics, and a relatively rare, but we hope is more popular trade, tunnel boring machine operator. So those are some of the trades that we're focused on. Strawbag, we know, also is working with the YMCA of Greater Toronto for the Construction Connections program, which is a source for apprenticeships in the heavy civil trades. And then there's also the Hammerheads pre-apprenticeship program run by the Central Ontario Building Trades to work with at-risk youth. So there's a number of opportunities there. Finally, Strawbag will also host a trade show early next year to share additional opportunities that will become available as part of their construction team. So, Councillor, I know you asked about benchmarking.
Yeah, because I know that Jenny mentioned earlier, I believe, that it was 3,000, the equivalent of 3,000 jobs a year. So that kind of piqued my interest, and I was just kind of wondering if Metrolinx has a target of those 3,000 jobs annually that have to be hired locally, or how does that work?
Yeah, if I understand the 3,000 jobs, that's a sort of full-time equivalent economic calculation type of number. Not to get too academic on you in this session, but that's sort of the macro impact. So no, we don't have a specific target on the numbers there. I think what we do have is targets around those apprenticeship numbers, and those are set by the ministry in terms of the number of actual trades people against apprenticeships. So those are the targets that we're working on, and this is the program for the existing contract. The future contract on stations, rails, and systems, I think we are doing some work, and Carla's leading that up at the Metrolinx organization to look to enhance some of these aspects of our programs.
Thank you. Back to you, Mitzi, or I guess on to John.
Yeah, Mark, if you're looking for some boring old guy to run a machine, I'm your guy. I'm perfectly happy to drill away.
So nice quiet place in a tunnel.
A nice quiet place. That's right. That's right. Out of harm's way. Yeah. The question I've got is already been sort of canvassed, and this concerns a person who travels through the riding on a regular basis, and she is concerned. Jane is concerned about the left-hand turns. And I don't know whether there's anything you wish to add to your previous answers, but it seems clear to me that left-hand turns will be affected, and that there will be a change in the traffic patterns. And in particular, I was thinking of the mosque right at Ellesmere and Markham, where on Friday afternoons it creates its own mini traffic jam. So is there anything any of you, particularly Kristen, wishes to add about the impact on left-hand turn lanes?
I mean, I'll just say that, yes, unrestricted left-hand turns won't be allowed on the corridor. So everybody will be required to turn left at the next intersection. And it, as Anne-Marie sort of pointed out at the start, it is really a safety issue. When you think about when you're driving along and the frequency of buses that we're looking at and traffic on the other side of the road, but also cyclists and pedestrians. So part of the project is a significant upgrade of the cycling infrastructure and better sidewalks, and we hope to encourage more active transportation as well as part of the project. So it's really about preventing accidents between, a driver who needs to sort of think about the the speeds of buses, the speeds of the other traffic, and also the cyclists and the pedestrians as well. So we know the traffic, the left turn access is a concern, and it will change. But I think on other corridors that we look at, particularly in York Region, it's a change, and it's a big deal for a few weeks, but then things settle down, and life continues on. So that's all I wanted to say. I don't know, Anne-Marie, if you wanted to add anything.
No, I think, aside from that, I know we've mentioned we're going to do a safety audit and continued consultations, especially for the residents of Highland Creek and along Ellesmere. So, definitely we're going to be evaluating, adding in more traffic signals, etc. So it's definitely an ongoing conversation.
I as a practicing politician saying, there will be change, but in a few weeks you'll get over it, is not a recipe for political health, may I say. But we all realize that things are going to change, and their adjustments will be made. I just going back to Mark and the programs he's got for at-risk youth. I think the three of us should make note that East Scarborough Storefront has a program for at-risk youth, and I don't know in the panoply of programs that Mark mentioned whether Ann Gloger's program there is actually one of the ones that would be touched by that. But I think it's incumbent on all three of us to make sure that the at-risk youth in Scarborough Guildwood get a shot. And finally, I'm going to skip to an overflow question, which is one that I've got. Why should we support the Scarborough subway extension when there's no benefit to residents, when the money could have been spent on transit improvements that would benefit the people of Scarborough Guildwood? I've heard that question at the door, and I'll be interested in one of your answers.
Mark, did you want to start and then I could jump in?
Yeah, I don't mind. I was going to turn around and ask our political panelists, why they support the project. But
you don't want us to answer that. We'll be here. We'll churn up the rest of the time talking about the benefits of it.
I can say it in one sentence. We have to get Scarborough moving.
Exactly.
We've got to get it done.
Access. That's right.
Well,
just do it.
That's exactly what I'd say. I mean, the time for kind of debate is past. We are building it now. So, I personally like to move on from the debates, but I think it's a question of what is the benefit of bringing transit to Scarborough, and we work with provincial and municipal plans, which are created by planners such as Carla and her team here tonight, and others that work for the City of Toronto. And those plans have a regional growth center at Scarborough Town Centre or Scarborough City Centre, pardon me. And those plans also see rapid transit being brought to those centers to enhance the growth there. And so it's part of an overall plan. And the fact that we got three governments together and all agreed on the plan and provided funding so that we can proceed with the project.
Who said this was in the age of miracles?
Exactly. I'm not trying to be too philosophical here, but it's really, how a plan that could date back to the 1980s has now finally come together, and we're seeing it built. So, the benefits are a concentration of housing opportunities and jobs around the subway stations, and particularly at Scarborough Centre, which has, I'd say, I think, been waiting for this opportunity. And so, that also frees up opportunities for the TTC to adjust service and provide additional and better service throughout the Scarborough area, which will link to the subways. So, perhaps not the most concise answer for you, but I think that's really, how we feel about it. Carla, I don't know if you want to help me out with this.
No, absolutely. I think that, you're kind of bringing this thing to life and putting shovels in the ground. And I think that in itself really kind of gets not only the economy moving, but the enthusiasm about what transit is going to bring. I think that we believe in transit, and we believe that, transit opens up the community, connects the community, and we want to help to support that connection the best we can. I think it sounds philosophical, but as you mentioned, this is something from the 80s that is now coming to life. And we can see the benefits of that really unfolding, as you mentioned, in terms of jobs and connections. And, Mitzi put it as well, in terms of just get Scarborough moving, and get them moving and connected with other parts of the region to open up that opportunity for where people want to go and where they need to go, making it reliable and safe, and ensuring that we are, connecting at different parts of the areas and really adapting to how people are living and working, to just give a better a way of life, and more opportunity and options for people to get around.
Great, thank you. And Councillor Ainsley, how about a final question from you?
What's next on my list of questions? Rob would like to know, as the province begins to lift COVID-19 restrictions, are there any plans to host in-person consultations with Scarborough residents on the Lakeshore East and the Durham BRT?
I can take that one, and actually I really appreciate that question, because we are very excited to get back out into the world to talk to the communities in person, as I think everybody is looking forward to being a bit more normal life. So we have been out very carefully in the last little while with smaller groups. We talked a little bit about Ellesmere earlier on. We did go out and meet with the Highland Creek Community Association out there and walk the corridor with them. We've been able to do some pop-up events, just very safely, very small groups. And we do have some upcoming engagements planned for the Mornell Court and Warburn area neighborhoods coming up in November. So we're excited and looking forward to getting back out there as safely as we can.
So I'm going to ask a couple of really quick questions, because we're coming down to the final time frame. Just a live question from the chat is just around mitigation for small businesses, and on either corridor. When you were talking about avoiding the construction, I thought of Mona's Roti, which is just at McCowan and Shepherd, and it's an icon in Scarborough, and we want to make sure that small businesses like that survive, and the character of Scarborough is protected. It's same thing on the Durham Scarborough BRT. Like, we don't want Scarborough to be a pass-through. We want it to be a destination. Tomorrow I'm going to be touring one of the local manufacturers called Bread Source, just to take a look at their unique business. And that's one of the characteristics that we have in Scarborough is we have sort of a local flavor to our small businesses that we want to see safeguarded. So what is in place or will be put in place to protect those small businesses? So once this great infrastructure is built and it's attracting jobs and people, that we still preserve what was there.
I'll take a first stab at it, and then maybe Leona, you might want to fill in some of the work that we're doing. But what I want to start with is, we view our impacts to the community as impacting people and people's livelihoods. So these are not just properties and buildings. And even when you say business, sometimes you lose the idea that these are actually people in there. So we really take that seriously, and we really want to make sure that we're working one-to-one. So I know Leona and her team and the community engagement team are out there on the street, really kind of engaging with those folks, having good conversations together with our properties team as well, to look for options and considerations around how we can, make people whole, make businesses whole, and really protect that overall character. Because when we go away and we leave the great transit system and those extra connections, we actually don't even want to just open up people to kind of get out of the community, but we want to be able to bring them into, just like you said, as a destination. And some of our marketing tools, our communication tools, we want to kind of help to support, bring back those businesses to those areas, not only while we're working and constructing and being open, but after as well, to revisit that. And we all know that COVID has hit us really, really hard, has hit everybody hard. And so any little extra that we can do to kind of help bring the people back to business, we will try to do that by virtue of transit and by some of the tools at our disposal. But Leona, did you want to share a little bit more what we're doing specifically?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can just say, depending on the project you're talking about. So we're talking about 2 here tonight that are in different phases. And then there's lots of other projects, of course, across the network, across the GTHA that are in specific, either in construction or in planning. So there's different tools that we use at different phases of the project, but everywhere you've got community engagement support and community engagement teams doing just what Carla said, talking to people, understanding their needs. We do things like direct one-to-one individual business support. So things like marketing and promotional ideas that can help augment businesses where they are, maybe where they don't have chamber or BIA representation. We can help with some of that. We do work with chambers of commerce and BIAs to support marketing and event initiatives. We do things like shop local marketing, signage, advertising. When maybe there's a fence in front of a business entrance, we can have big signs out there saying we're open for business, talking about the benefits of that business in there. So for in delivery, we also have some social enterprise components. So working with the businesses in the area to help them benefit through our construction. Maybe there's a restaurant that can help us, feed the crews, and they can be given deals and things to go into that restaurant. So we create community liaison committees to understand what's happening in the community and what they might need from us through each phase of the project. Basically, we're there for the businesses as well as we are there for the people, as Carla said.
So it's really great. We have come to the end of our hour, and we've really covered a lot of ground. I'm just wondering if our guests would just like to say a word or two of closing remarks. And I'm going to, Kristen, I'm going to start with you because you are in my top right corner.
Look, thanks for organizing tonight and for inviting us on. I'll just say, like, the Public Information Center is open. We have an email, dsbrt@metrolinks.com. Please continue to reach out. We are getting to your questions and concerns. We are reading them. We are responding. And yeah, we're trying to make the best project that we can for the community.
Excellent. Thank you. And Leona.
Thanks, Kristen said it all. Visit Metrolinks Engage and learn more about our projects and get in touch with us and let us know what you're thinking. There's some places to sign up for newsletters so you can receive all of the information about where you live and what's happening. So we're here and we're looking forward to speaking more to the community as time goes on.
Great. Anne-Marie, I can't forget you.
No, definitely. I think, the main message is through listening. I think for Durham Scarborough, we definitely have heard the residents' concerns, and we are planning to continue our engagement and really help, the project teams understand where we want to go with this project and really start to understand how we could address some of the concerns. So
it's great. And over to you, Mark.
Well, thanks for having me, and I wanted to just pass along one more little bit of information. We were on a call earlier, I think it was last week, with Deputy Mayor Michael Thompson. I said the same thing. We're moving our project office and our entire project team for the Scarborough subway extension to Scarborough. And we are going to be long-term residents in the community, and we're looking to find all of the wonderful places that you mentioned where we can shop local and we can take the team out to enjoy all of what Scarborough has. So we're really looking forward to getting back to the office so we can get out there and explore. So thanks again.
That's wonderful. And Carla?
Well, I just want to say that, I'm a resident of Ajax right now, but I did spend some time at 2201 Corporate Drive, 88, right there across from Scarborough Town Center. I have friends who worked at Tropicana Services, and so I am looking forward to this project and all of our projects as we just touch on different parts of the region. And I want to thank all of you as partners in government with us on this. You have been extremely supportive, and when we get together and we collaborate, great things happen. And right now the projects are moving, and this is a great success story and testament to that collective goal of just getting stuff done and moving it forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And Jenny, do you want to wrap that up for the team?
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you for having us. And just one last plug, on our MX Engage, we are going to be posting our construction notices that are happening along the alignment as well as road closures. So we are going to continue to feed the community information about the project. And so stay tuned and reach out.
That's great. And any last words from you, John?
Me with a last word, of course. First of all, thank each and every one of you for participating in this. Being fresh from door knocking, I did hear at the door a number of concerns, which I hope you will continue to address. And with decent level of communication, I think there's some chance that this would be an outstanding success. And because the projects themselves, I think, are all meritorious. But finally, I want to put in a plug, because I know you folks are all terribly influential in this matter. The Eglinton East LRT, that's the next biggie. And we are certainly behind that as a Scarborough caucus. I think Paul has got some remote interest in it. But it is more than time that Scarborough has a really decent transit infrastructure, and I appreciate each and every one of you's contribution to making that dream a reality.
And I have to say thank you to the federal government with your funding for the subway and
the Eglinton East Lrt.
And for the Eglinton East Lrt to come.
2.3 billion just doesn't get what it used to get you.
Paul, closing remarks.
Yeah, I was just going to say, John, if you want to write us a check now, you won't have to worry about the amount going up. I just want to thank everybody for Metrolinx this evening, all our guests for all of their input and their work. I know, seeing these projects come to fruition, it's not something that happens overnight, but I think all of them combined with the work we've been doing at the city around bikeways and better increased transit with the red line, as I'll call it, and the Eglinton East LRT, when we get that done, I think it will really improve how people get around Scarborough, because one of the things I always point to is 60% of all transit trips happen locally. So we need that public transit infrastructure in Scarborough to get those people moving. And I thank everybody for their time and their work, and I hope everybody stays safe and well. And just a reminder, if you haven't, go out, get your COVID vaccination, and don't be afraid to go and get your flu shot. That's just as important. Thank you.
Great reminder, Councillor Inslee. It is flu season, so we have to do both of those, COVID as well as the flu shot. I do want to thank the entire team from Metrolinx for being here and showing up in such full force and with open minds and hearts to really listen to the questions from our residents. One of the things that we have in Scarborough is that we have Scarborough pride. People are really passionate about where they live, and this is an amazing community. But we know that Scarborough needs these investments. We need to improve our transit network. We need to make sure Scarborough remains connected to the entire region. And these projects, once they are completed, is going to really provide a benefit to our residents and to the entire community. When I was on the tour at McCowan and Shepherd, just really looking at the site for the extension, one of the transit workers or the construction workers, I believe her name was Shannon. We were chatting, and she said, I was working on the Crosstown extension, and I said, oh wow, because that project is set to open next year, and how exciting! It's sort of in that sort of final stages, right, where you're seeing the testing of the cars, and it's just it's an amazing vision that has come true. So I said to her, do you tell your family that you built that? She's like, absolutely, every time, and there's a sense of ownership and a sense of pride. And, and I know that we're going to see that eventually once these projects are done through to completion to the amazing design standards that you have at Metrolinx. So I want to say a huge thank you to the entire team. Obviously, we're here and our offices are here. We'll always give you feedback and engage and involve you in as many ways as possible with our local community. I want to thank all of the viewers for tuning in tonight to listen to John, to Paul, and I as we bring you information that we think is really important and relevant, even during these serious times with the ongoing COVID pandemic. So thanks, everyone. Stay safe and enjoy that holiday season, which is upon us very soon. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.